We talked about the dark cases.
Did I say I was going to take a break from dark cases?
Yes.
Yes.
Those were your words.
Did I, though? Not really. I didn't. First of all, it's not my fault. Fan picker, Ash. Blame Ash.
Okay.
But also, when this topic hit the calendar, there was also a case request from our fan picker to cover this. And it definitely is like the most famous true crime story to come out of this region. So it makes perfect sense why this was the pick.
Okay.
Also, if you have seen the documentary Dear Zachary.
No.
And been absolutely gutted.
Oh my God.
By the end of that documentary, then you know what's coming. And that serves as my trigger warning.
That was
honestly,
I think that was the first true crime documentary I'd ever seen.
If you haven't seen it, I do recommend it. It is beautiful, tragic, and powerful documentary filmmaking.
Fuck you up.
But it will destroy you.
Wow.
And we'll circle back to the documentary at the end, because there's, a little more that I want to say around that, but we'll get to it. So Shirley Jane Turner was born on January 28th, 1961, an Aquarius, in St. Anthony, Newfoundland, Canada. She was Canadian-American because her father was in the U.S. military and her mother was from St. Anthony. So the kids got like dual citizenship, basically. She spent early childhood in Wichita, Kansas with 3 siblings before her mother moved with the kids back to St. Anthony. After separating from her husband, they eventually got divorced, but she left with the kids before they even got divorced. Not a whole lot is recorded about Shirley's childhood, likely because it was, for the most part, pretty normal. Obviously, divorce is very hard on children. But it seemed that she was well provided for. She didn't grow up in an abusive household. Like some of the details that you usually get about people like her don't have as untarnished an origin story. You know what I mean?
There aren't that many red flags here.
Yeah. So she was a good student in high school, and after graduating from high school in 1980, she enrolled at Memorial University of Newfoundland and had goals to pursue a career in medicine. So she was doing pre-med. While at university, she became pregnant with her longtime boyfriend, and they married in 1981. Her husband stayed at home with their son so that she could finish school. By 1983, she had taken a job on the side as a science teacher, I think a substitute science teacher. And they had a second child together in 1985. Around this time that the second child was born, there are rumblings that she was having an affair with a former fling. And this is likely why her first marriage ended in divorce in 1997. And she married her affair partner in January of 1988. So okay. 2 young kids, 1 year out of the relationship, but not even a year divorced. She's marrying
They divorced in 1987?
Sorry, yes, 1987.
And married the new guy the next year. And she had 2 kids from a previous?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Then the new husband and Shirley had a daughter together in 1990. And a year later, she and this second husband separated, agreeing to joint custody while Shirley finished her schooling. Because now she's got, she'd had full custody of her daughter with this guy. And she had at least 50%, if not more, custody of her 2 children from her previous marriage, who were both young. And she's trying to finish med school. So,
she's got a lot going on.
She's got a lot going on. And her former husbands, because they love their children, were willing and wanting to assist because they wanted more time with their kids.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not able to afford to live on her own with her kids. So she gets a roommate in 1993, a dude who lives in the area. This roommate became so alarmed at Shirley's behavior toward her children that he moved out and reported her to a therapist at the university that she was attending for med school.
Oh, shit.
He said that he had witnessed Shirley Turner, physically and emotionally abusing the 2 older children from her first marriage, including hitting them with a belt.
Oh, my God.
The psychologist, properly, because they're a mandated reporter, filed a report with social services, who closed the case on January 11th, 1994. So like less than a year after this report came in. And they never even interviewed Shirley before they closed the report. So they did interview the children, the older children, who confirmed that their mother was, quote, the disciplinarian, and that she spanked them and hit them with a belt. Their father claimed that he'd only seen her threaten them with the belt. She only threatens them with the belt. She doesn't hit him with the belt.
So the standards for closing a report are pretty low if you're not even interviewing the purported
Perpetrator.
abuser.
Correct. And then I guess they could just never get Shirley to nail down a time that worked with her busy schedule to do an interview. So they eventually just dropped the case, close it.
Oh my God, that seems so Canadian.
I mean, it also seems very American and very white people being accused of abuse and us not using those resources to look into it because we're too busy using them to punish and harm marginalized people and people of color. That's, it's not just, doesn't just happen in the US. It also happens in Canada and all over the world. So we all have that in common.
Just seems excessively polite. That's like, we don't want to interrupt.
Oh, we couldn't get you scheduled? All right, we'll just let it go.
Yeah.
Y'all have a good weekend now, but more Irish.
Yeah, but like inexplicably Irish. Well,
anyway, so they dropped the case. 3 years after this, Shirley and her second husband get divorced. They finalize their divorce. She's granted custody of their daughter, but apparently returned her to her ex, her daughter's father, within like 2 days of the ruling, and sent her older 2 children to live with their father.
So and she's just over all of her kids.
Over it, effectively out of their children's lives entirely, which like, fucking thank God. Good. Bye, bitch. Get out of here. In March of 1996.
Still, holy abandonment.
Yeah, it's fucked up. And I'm also glad that those kids.
Well, in retrospect, for the most part, we can be glad that this happened.
Yeah, that they were for the most part protected from her, but it's tragic all around. In March of 1996, Shirley Turner began a relationship while working as a resident. She wasn't like a full doctor yet. I think she was still doing a bunch of her training hours when she first started here in 1996. But she struck up a relationship with this guy named Miles Doucette, and he was also a resident at St. John's Hospital. A few months later, his employment, like where his residency was going to go next, caused him to relocate out of St. John's. So he broke up with Shirley because he didn't want to do a long distance relationship. They were like driving distance apart, but he's like, I'm a fucking studying, like I'm a
neither
doctor.
of us has time for this.
Yeah, I'm a resident. We're not going to do that. Makes perfect sense. In response, she began inundating him with phone calls and later noted that when he answered the phone, she would like creepily threaten him and talk to him with, quote, intensity and velocity.
Velocity?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was weird. The calls continued for over a year, and even when he moved again for work in November of 1997, again, they're still within driving distance of each other, and like, I guess she would visit on occasion, and now I'm not commenting on him still interacting with her. We all know that all genders can be victims of abuse and how hard these cycles can be to get out of. So, like, we're not going to be judging him.
No, and especially, like, stalking.
Yep. They were still in contact. Her behavior was escalating, but I believe that there were some consensual, at least, visits. I don't know if they were sexual in nature, but that happened. So on one of these visits, he and Shirley had been out and about, and they were walking back to his apartment, and they got into an argument, and she took off one of her like platform sandal shoes.
Oh no.
And hit him in the jaw with the heel of her shoe.
Ooh, that's not like playful at all.
No, she attacked him.
Wow.
And from what I understand, this was the last straw. He tried to once again completely cut off contact with her, but she kept leaving threatening voicemails and like kept showing up to his apartment unannounced. He had the police remove her from the premises on at least one occasion.
Ew.
He moved again in 1998, this time leaving Canada entirely and relocating to Pennsylvania. And she followed him.
She moved to Pennsylvania?
No, she didn't move. She just showed up at his apartment.
Oh my God.
Like a year later, like I think she'd been going back and forth, but one of the times she showed up at his fucking apartment on April 7th, 1999, he found her lying semi-conscious outside of his apartment because she had ingested a combined 65 milligrams of over-the-counter drugs in a quote-unquote suicide attempt. And I put this in quotes because this was clearly a manipulation tactic on her part. She was not actually trying. Right. She's not actually trying to kill herself. She was using this to get his attention and get him to talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
It was also, not only was it clearly a manipulation tactic, it was a dramatic one. Police investigation revealed that Shirley had ingested 32 tablets of Unisom and 42 tablets of Nazone. Unisom helps you sleep, and Nazone apparently can induce vomiting. So she took those with a 20-ounce bottle of Pepsi and a bag of potato chips, and then just like walked up to his apartment and waited to see what would happen and got super sick. A pharmacy rep said they could not, like a pharmacist, said that they couldn't think of the rationale to take these together, that this would like make you very sick, but would require a whole lot more of it to actually like kill an adult. And
she as a doctor would know that.
Right. So this kind of established that theory that this was a false attempt to manipulate this man. She also planned her outfit for the occasion, which like if the medicine evidence isn't enough, this sure as shit is for me.
Oh my God.
She wore a long black dress and cradled a bouquet of red roses and wrote 2 suicide notes. One that was 4 pages long for Miles, this guy, Miles Doucette, and the other one that was 1 page to her psychiatrist. And she said to her psychiatrist, "I'm not evil, just sick." Sure, okay. So Shirley was rushed to a hospital where
she is sick.
Yeah, you're right about a lot of that.
Wow.
She's taken to the hospital. Her stomach was pumped. She's monitored while she recovers. And the following day, Miles Doucette reports receiving a voicemail from a female caller who stated, quote, "Dr. Turner died last night." Like Shirley died. But Doucette said it sounded like Shirley trying to disguise her voice, calling and saying she was dead to like see how he would respond, see what his reaction was.
This is also, probably the only time we're going to be like, well, look what she was wearing.
Yeah.
It's so dramatic.
And it also just shows like all the premeditation to the moves that she's making. And that these things are curated and thought out by her. This isn't just
the most dense manipulation that you could possibly think of.
She fucking knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing. So that's where it's like, did you see what she was wearing in this context? That evidence is applicable here. So she's not dead. Spoiler alert. She's very much alive. And despite all of this, she still officially becomes a doctor around this time. So she's able to, she's at that point in her residency where like she's a doctor. She's able to practice medicine. And she was working as a resident at a teaching hospital from 1998 to 2000. And while she was there, she did get a lot of professional criticism. Her supervising physician stated that she would become, quote, quite hostile, yelling, crying, and accusing me of treating her unfairly whenever she was like corrected or criticized in any way. During her remedial second residency period in early 2000, Shirley Turner missed 9 days of her 3-month rotation and falsified clinical reports. A patient of the clinic refused to return after an encounter with her.
Oh.
Was like, I'm never fucking coming back to this clinic as long as she works here. I won't do it. And the staff became, quote, so concerned about Shirley Turner's approach to confrontation and the truth that we would never give her feedback or hold any major discussion with her alone. People were afraid to talk to her one-on-one. They always wanted to make sure there were other representatives and witnesses there. They were scared of her.
Probably a smart thing.
Yes, very smart.
But also, why you would never... Can you imagine working with that person?
I don't know.
Especially in a clinical setting where your primary obligation is to take care of people.
Right. It's pretty obvious, though, that the people who she had to actually work with and for had a very different relationship and interactions with her than other people in the hospital that she was manipulating, because she once again at this this teaching hospital where she's working meets a colleague and they strike up a romantic relationship. Oh, no. And this is Andrew Bagby, who she meets in 1999, and they start to date. Andrew was described as a kind, devoted son. He made Eagle Scout at 15. He was like super family oriented. He was an only child. He made friends super easily. Like everybody knew him. Everybody loved him. He was inspired by his mother, who was a nurse practitioner, to become a doctor. So he wanted to work in medicine because of her.
And his best friend was a filmmaker.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll get to that. So he moved to St. John's, Canada, in this Newfoundland area to attend the Memorial University of Newfoundland. And his fiance, Heather, made the move with him, but they broke up after his first year of med school in the summer of 1997. And then Bagby was like totally destroyed by this breakup. And 2 years later, in the spring of 1999, he starts dating Shirley Turner, after kind of like not really seeing that many people in between, because he was still pretty devastated that he and his fiance had broken up.
He's also a med student. So like,
yeah, he's fucking busy.
That much time.
So he's considerably younger than Shirley. He's in his third year of med school and starting his residency where like he can't practice medicine on his own. She's in her second year of residency. Shirley was, twice divorced. She's got 3 kids and she's 12 years older than him. So Andrew's friends are like, this is a weird match. Mm-hmm. What's going on here? And he would assure his friends that like, this is a fling. She's not looking for another husband. She's not looking for anything serious, and knows that I'm not looking for anything serious while in medical school. We're just hanging out and having fun and hooking up. So this is not like a super serious relationship for him. And it is for her.
You don't say.
Yeah, but she at this point has manipulated him into thinking, oh, no, we're on the same page as long as you're still with me and only me, and then we'll see how it goes. So after graduation, Andrew Bagby would return to his home state of Pennsylvania, working as a family practitioner. And Shirley Turner did the same thing she did to the last guy, who coincidentally also moved to Pennsylvania, and would follow him to the States, like go visit him. But she took this way further. She fully moved to the United States. She took a job in Council Bluffs, Iowa.
That's where Ellen's from.
I know. While Bagby is working in Latrobe area hospital in Pennsylvania. And in This way, the relationship continued pretty okay because they're long distance. Shirley's flying frequently out to Pennsylvania to spend the weekend with him. And it's kind of allowing this just fling thing to continue. He's not visiting her. To him, it's like, we're still not that serious, but if you want to fly out here and hook up, like, that's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
We're all consenting adults. But he had made it sound to his friends, and I believe him, that he was like, we weren't exclusive. We have kind of like an open relationship thing because we're long distance now and we weren't exclusive to begin with. So he's like sort of seeing other people, or like going on dates with other people, and she visits every once in a while. Fine by me. I don't care.
Yeah.
If that's just what the situation was.
That seems like a pretty common arrangement.
Yeah. And according to Andrew's parents, he did try to frequently like ease out of the relationship and just move away from that. But like Shirley
just kept coming around.
Yeah. Found ways to just keep coming around. And a lot of folks were saying about their friend and their son, like Andrew was just so nice. He was like too nice to put his foot down. And this was working out for them as he thought. So he just was like, okay, we're going to continue this long distance relationship. And then as his interest in other people starts to grow in October of 2001, he's like, no, I have to finally shut this down. We can't keep doing this. So he's trying to make a clean break from her, a final breakup. In response to him trying to break up with her, she purchases a .22 caliber handgun and enrolls in a series of firearm safety classes. She also tells Andrew that she's 3 months pregnant. Spoiler alert, she's not. Yet.
Well, I sure hope you liked that clip. If you did like that clip, make sure you are subscribing to our YouTube channel, leaving us a nice review, and joining us on Patreon for even more video content, audio content, salacious content all around. Come join us. Treat yourself.